public but is now private. I said that it is wrong to say that this is the global village. It is really the global fishbowl. Little electric football man. We had a fish tank at school, and it had a pump on the filter. The pump had a flat surface on top and vibrated. So somebody figured out that you could put a little man from an electric football set on top of it, and it would scoot around on top of the pump just the way it did on a vibrating football field. Little electric football man displaced. King of the mountain in this little isolated world with no team and with no competition. Nothing you do here has any effect on the world. Nothing you do here matters. You are on your own solitary mountaintop. You rule the world, but there is nobody in the world. You are the undisputed winner of the game, but there's no game, no challenge. Just the luxury of dominating one little square.
Wow. Global Fishbowl.
Thank you.
Eric Nelson, you knock it out of the park again.
Great.
Hey.
Thank you very much, Eric. And we're going to go to the next person on the open mic because, God, we got a lot of names tonight. So let's go to our next person on. It's been great to have him back at Stone Soup in a person-to-person capacity and on the online capacity as well. He has a collection out from Nix's Make Press, and we're going to welcome up Mr. David Miller.
Hey everybody, thanks, Chad. It's great to see more squares or rectangles that will fit on one of my screens at all at once. So that's some measure. You know, I'm going to read one poem about something that actually hasn't changed, which is how difficult it is in this part of the country for spring to actually truly settle in, even on May 1st. So, and this has been normal for many years. Anyway, it's titled Spring Around Here. Spring peeps out from underneath its flannel cover, groans, rolls back over on its side, chucks the clock across the room. Spring thinks it's past time we got over this boresome vernal equinox fixation. Sick of our gawk at straggling, naive crocuses, forsythia pre-doomed to shrivel in the wake of premature debuts. Spring warms in fits, clenches the frigid, loathes perfume. Lets winter flirt and tease, hog the gossip and the news. And screw the sapsuckers, April gives spring a headache. Bumblebees arouse its nectar hangover. Maypole dancers racket and hey, Nonny in the hedge. The bed shakes. Spring calls the cops. They're on parade, so no one answers. Spring tosses back the sheets, puts its peeved face to the window, lets fly its yearly whine, spits out a day of 85 degrees, sneers that maybe now we're satisfied, stuffs the pillow underneath the bed, feet to the floor, flings a final freeze. Thanks, thank you, everybody.
Hey, Ben.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Okay,
Thanks.
we are. I'm happy to report that not only will Carol be trying again at 8 o'clock with the help of an orderly, but we'll also be we're also getting a really good reception with the recording. I just got the our Xfinity box replaced. It turns out our box was outdated by like almost 6-7 years, so our internet connection was getting choppy, which is partly why I haven't put up any of the videos for public consumption on YouTube. But this one might actually stand a chance. God help me. But so and it's got a pink bunny in it too, so that can only be a good thing. So we're going to bring it up now to someone who I haven't seen in a long time. This person has made the best of indie lit. She has been on multiple Stone Soup Peach feature, been in Oddball magazine a number of times, and she has been involved with a number of Massachusetts poetry events, which would have taken place in April if, pandemic. It's good to see her now. Let's welcome up Chris Warner.
Oh, let's see. Am I unmuted?
You're unmuted.
Oh, good. Thank you so much, Chad. And I'm so happy to be here. It's so great to see all of you. And it's wonderful to be able to join. Zoom is really quite a blessing, right? Because it's not possible for me to get in anymore. But thank you so much for doing this. This is something pretty old. It was, I have no access to my computer, so I have just old stuff. This is Rotation. Last week, I watched the small black and white dog huff in his sleep, dream tick, hind legs twitching, perilously close to the edge of the sofa. The floors were bare, hard, cold. He didn't like it. Neither did my husband. All the expense and inconvenience. Today, after delivery and centering, they said the rugs will need to be cleaned again in 2019, and ideally rotated at least once before that. They talked about the effects of light, of uneven and angles and falling, carefully making note of all the faded places. They didn't say careless. They didn't say it's just another September. They didn't mention lack of attention. But now the best one, handmade in shades of cream shot through with scarlet, is pinned beneath 800 pounds of new glass and some kind of shiny wood. One more thing in one more room that won't be discussed again, that cannot be easily moved or turned. Thanks. Thank you.
Yes. Yay, Chris.
Beautiful. Give me.
Aw.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Chris. And up next, he's one of the first in the room. And even if he wasn't, I'd probably still put him up on the top of the list because, bunny suit. But aside from that, this person was a mover and the shaker in the Boston poetry scene for many years, whether it was his zine Meanie or his online zine, Can We Have Our Ball Back, which is actually making a comeback. You can check canwehaveourballback.org. The new issue, the first one out in over a decade, it will be out hopefully soon. And gym time soon could be by the end of the pandemic, but that's totally okay with me. He's been involved with the Poetry Marathon that comes every summer. May come this summer, may not, who the hell knows. But we have him here today, and I'm very glad he's here with us. Let's welcome up Jim Burley.
Hey guys, it's great to be back at Stone Soup. I'm here in Jersey City. Great to be with you. You know, I was thinking big anniversary. First time I ever read poetry in front of other people was at Stone Soup with Jack way back in the day in the 90s. A lot of familiar faces in the room here. So I think Jim Dunn's here. He used to go to Stone Soup with me all the time. Mike Bucell. That's where I met Chad, and a lot of familiar faces here. So I'm glad it rolls on, man, you know. And I hope everybody's doing okay. I have a new poem in a magazine called The Abandoned Playground. Let me read that to you. It's called The Greatest Apocalypse Could Happen to You. Ask not what your country can't do for you. Maybe I could love you with unwashed hands. Everyone eats soup. It's looking like a limb torn off. Wear underpants like the kid in Home Alone. I'm licking her armpit in the Nightmare Factory. Hello, darkness, my old Twitter follower. How did they survive my head, bound to the stifling earth? Polish vodka, a monster of time and pity. We need a French Revolution. It's 000000 on 000000. Circle how you feel about reading and understanding poetry. I saw Kurt Cobain trending. I hope he's okay. Covet thy neighbor's ass out the window. It's even more beautiful than I remembered. The TV, a metaphor for Vermeer's painting. The policeman sitting on top of the world. he will cut off the chariot lit only by a St. Jude candle if you play our song. Feelings of isolation, mood swings, resentment of people around you, prone to irrational outbursts. I've apparently had cabin fever since I was 12. As you, Timothy Chalamet. Saoirse Ronan can play me. In maybe the last poem I'll ever write. No one is ever gonna love you more than I do.
Yeah.
For Polish vodka.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Greg the Bunny.
There's the bunny, yes.
Hi.
Wow. Thank you guys. Thank you for the applause, everyone. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to unmute everyone again. I'm going to transition to the next person. This is so cool. I have everyone. I have like 12 Brady Bunches on my screen right now, like all the or 3 or 4 of them on my screen. Like this is how many people are on right now, and I actually have to press an hour in order to see everybody. So if one of you guys are out there flossing just to get my attention, I might not see it right away, but I am checking back and forth. I am trying to check the chats. There's 1 or 2 people out there who don't have their names or just have an LG phone name. So I'm going to try and, so check your chats in case you have one of those situations where you don't have a name on your phone or your own name, or this is your first, especially if this is your first time doing this, because I want to introduce you properly. I want to give you the appropriate intro you deserve. I need to know who you are, and some of the screens are not that clear. But that being said, we'll move on to the next poet. A recent Stone Soup feature, or at least as recent as last year. She is, wow, see, this is how big this is how big the group is. I have to go up on the participants alphabetically to find her. It's great. She's been a monster on the 365 blog, which is a blog set up through Michael F. Gill and others to do 1 poem a day for 365 days. And I think she's been the consecutive champion to finish 365 poems for like the last, 20 years, April? But anyway, here is Miss April Penn.
Hi, thanks, Chad. So this poem is called Metaphor. From my living room, I look through the window and through another window of a house across the street. I see the people in that house, so far 2 young ones and 1 older. I see their lights turn on and off at night, especially. During the day, I see them open the window all the way and push their heads out to greet the wind. I've never talked with them before, but now that I'm at home, they seem to be haunting me with their humanness. It's cold and rainy. Michael is baking bread. I eat the second to last pear. I try to explain that nothing will get better in the future. Why do I feel calmer than my earlier rage? At last, when I was stretching, I opened a window, and the new air blew in, erasing my allergies. I realize now why windows are so important, how metaphors begin as real, concrete things that we can't always touch. So the abstraction and the floating move in, the gray light and the splintered rain waving wooden moths up to my ears. I realized metaphor began with frustration about connection. Social distancing is the crucible in which metaphor forms, why suffering dives into the poet's work, and we must be in love with sadness, and we must be optimistic about our potential for pessimism. The bad will represent the good. Soul's government, words as president guinea pigs. Thanks, Chad.
For Metaphor. Yeah.
Did that one, April.
Yes, thank you, April. I'm so glad I caught that one.
Thank you.
So glad
Thank you very much, April. Up next, let me see if I can find her. Yes, I can, right here. Blackbird, are you willing to read now? Perform?
Yeah, I'm coming. 1 second.
Okay. Blackbird has been a recent addition to Stone Soup's, shall we say, upper roster. She has been a host,
Can you
co-host.
say family?
family. Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
A
the Stone-
roster bullshit. What the fuck is a roster?
Sorry, I still have a job. I have to say things like roster, but Black has
Ah.
been a recent addition to the Stone Soup family. She has been a host, co-host. She's hosted the open mic. Her feature was unfortunately one of the things we had to sacrifice from the pandemic, but it is coming back and her release is coming out, and we'll be looking forward to that. So without any further ado from me, here's Blackbird.
Hi everybody, how y'all doing? Okay, all right. Whew. So I have two poems. I know a lot of people be saying pieces, but I like to say poems. So, call me an old soul. I don't care. All right. This one is actually dedicated to my daughter. She is 10 years old. I have 2 kids, but this poem specifically is for my daughter. So here we go. It's called It's Okay's Poem. Troubles do not last always. Troubles do not last always. Trouble do not last always. Troubles do not last always. I have to be honest. I wasn't expecting this. Taking trips to the emergency room, having to leave you unattended. No daddy around, no grandma around. Loneliness becoming my company, putting my trust in the wrong kind of company. I love you, and I'm so sorry for not protecting you like I should have protected you. Please, I ask of you, my daughter, do not resent me for my lack of strength and tenacity, for sometimes mommy falls weak down to her knees, stretching out her arms for somebody to help her up when she should have been looking up to God for help. Although I'm exceptionally grateful to the participating party during my recovery, but did not expect judgment or chastisement from that same participating party. Oh my God. I hated that I had to be separated from you, but I also found beauty in our separation, for it brought growth mentally and emotionally for both of us. I found my strength again through you. I pray that you can find your strength through me. I'm not the perfect mother, but yet you find perfection in me. How do you stay so strong without me always being there to tuck you in at night? When I see you, that smiling, that laughter is so contagious. I forget about my problems. Then I remember that I'm not able to tuck you in at night. I couldn't wait until you came home to sing and dance on the street without caring who sees us, to do videos and posting them on YouTube, to see you lost in your own little world dancing like you were flying like an angel with invisible wings. I am blessed to be your mother. You truly are a wonderful gift from God. You're so intelligent, so magnificent, not to mention multi-talented too. I know it's been over a year, but now we are together again, and I will never let you go. No matter how hard this life gets, our love is unbreakable. This, I promise you, I love you. Please forgive me. To my baby girl, it's okay.
You need to say you were a good baby.
Hey.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm.
Oh, hell, that was weird. Okay. I know it's bad when I look out of the corner of my eye and David Miller's going like, yeah, he's going full Macaulay Culkin on me. Oh, Christ. All right. I guess in terms of when muting everybody, for some reason, I muted myself. Okay. Didn't think you could do that, but all right. The next person coming up has been a multiple feature at Stone Soup. He has been when he lived in the city with his wife Karen and daughter Cosette. He was an occasional host. He earned the name Gentleman Galt when he willingly set his feature aside or partially aside when we had to have a memorial open mic for the loss of Mike Amato, whose passing had reached the 11th anniversary this past January. It's my pleasure to bring up frequent open micer still, as frequent as he can get, contributor to Oddball Magazine with photography, and of course poet, Mr. Ed Galt.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you told me you were muted. I was beginning to think I was going deaf. You know?
I'm just going senile.
Yeah. Well, a little background on this one. This was a piece I read before with originally a tribute poem to Jack Powers. I think I wrote it over 10 years ago. And around that time, I think John McCain was asked how many homes he had, and he said he didn't know. So I kind of alluded to that in this poem. So when you come across it, you'll know that was John McCain I was referring to, even though I don't mention his name here in the poem. This is called One Great Thing. Oh, I'm sorry, The One Great Thing. When I was a child, maybe around 7, I would spend all day long watching the broadcast of Neil Armstrong walking on the moon. Grandpa told me in the car that it was the first time anybody had ever walked on the moon. On the radio, I heard LBJ talk of ending poverty one day. I heard the things people had to say and I wanted to be the president or the guy that walked on the moon. I wanted to do the one great thing. One little step for man, one big step for mankind, that kind of thing. I'd cure some disease like polio, as did Jonas Salk, or write something like Grapes of Wrath. I'd be invited on TV to talk. I'd be in the history books. At parties, people would gather around me and ask me what I thought about stuff. Years passed, and somewhere along the way, people let go of their dreams and ideals, pursuing money in their careers, Subarus and McMansions. One guy couldn't even remember just how many homes he had. The dynasty decades. I took the train to work each day, thankful simply to have a job to go to. I would listen to what folks had to say about their stock options and level of pay. I opened up the Boston Globe and saw a picture of the man who swept the sidewalks of the North End. The article was about a man who had never gave up on the dreams. He started kitchens for seniors to eat, organized programs for learning to read, even free concerts on the Common. It said he gave his own coats or gloves to those who were cold or in need, and with little thought to himself, and memories of my own dream of the one great thing came rushing back. And who was it really for? Not one thing, but each thought and each act is like a raindrop baptizing us all in the holiness of life and the possibilities of what can be, of what we can be. Thank you.
Gentleman Galt, everybody.
Get the tracking information.
I'm sorry. Are we only allowed to do one poem each, or like what's
Well,
going
we're trying to go as far as we can. Currently we have 30 people, so we're gonna see if we can do a second round or not. Maybe people will jump ship Blackbird, but we'll see what happens.
Say it again?
But whoa, sound like a Mack truck just flew through. But we're just trying to make sure that everyone is represented on this special night. But if people want to go again, we're gonna do our best. But for now, we're gonna thank you. We're gonna say thank you to Ed Galt, and we have next on the open mic someone who I haven't seen on the open mic for a long time, but I've seen him online quite a bit. His name is Eric Tate, and Eric, are you ready for us?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Excellent.
Can you hear me okay?
Just fine.
Isolation. The custodian says she'll get in trouble if she engages mom in conversation while she sweeps. The nurse's aide wordlessly closes the blinds at night. Nerve compression in mom's neck affects her speech, makes it hard for her to be understood. And when the nurse comes in and mom makes a request, she acts as though she hasn't heard. Mom cautiously persists, struggling to force the words out, expending the strength one would use to yell across a room, but the words barely make it past her lips. And the nurse responds with a bewildered grunt, as if suddenly realizing sound can come from an inanimate object.
Wow.
on?
Wow. Great.
That actually made me cry. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really like that.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm literally about to cry right now. That's crazy. Because every word he just said is so true.
Absolutely.
Every word he just said is so fucking true. It's true.
Hi, I'm Eric's girlfriend, Crystal. Hi.
Hi.
Hey.
All right, we gotta.
You take great care of him, I'm sure. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Eric. I'll send you one of those hug emojis now that they have at Facebook. That's sadly the best I can do. That's not even an ironic answer. But so we are going on. I'm going to be. I apologize. There's probably people who are noticing like, who the hell is Chad talking to on the phone? I'm talking to Carol. We're gonna work on getting Carol in on the call. I'm probably gonna see if I can set up a conference call by calling the number, because she keeps on saying the call is invalid no matter what, even though I've tried it. So what we might end up doing is I might call in from my phone. I might call Carol at the same time and see if we can do a conference call, and then she can have her say. But it might take some finagling. But I do have one ear to the open mic always, so I just want you to know that. And I appreciate everyone who is doing this. I'm just juggling a lot of things, and I'm praying for Joanna Nealon to make an appearance as well. I'm also trudging through the online messages that people were sending me through Facebook saying the password was wrong, but it looks like everyone who sent me a complaint or had a problem was also able to get on. So I'm very thankful for that as well. And it's with that I bring you now the next person on the open mic. He had his first time Stone Soup via Zoom debut anyway, on about 2-3 weeks ago. And I'm glad to have him back on now. Let's welcome up Mr. Michael McSweeney.
Cool. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
I've got one poem. It's a true story. It's called She's Gone, She's Gone. I felt the dead but did not know them yet after my love and I moved to Brooklyn in early winter. Light snow patches clung to Greenwood Cemetery's shoulders and made the headstones and tombs look primeval beneath morning's cloud-riven blueness. Those first days when she joined the rush of bodies toward Manhattan, I left home and ascended the cemetery heights and watched the city writhe like a motherboard come alive. I knew then, people walk these grounds that you or I cannot see. But these presences, my friend said, were nothing more than the pen strokes of the imagination. The mind, you see, is an ancient machine that conjures shapes and cries out the names of gods and spirits when it becomes afraid of the dark. So I buried my thoughts, and at night in loose bed sheets I gazed at the bars of light coming in through the window and told myself it was light and nothing more. But then I heard them sing. The mind can make a cage of the body sometimes, doubly so at the edge between waking life and our dreams. They call it sleep paralysis, when the brain recoils and all you can do is leap from the body's sinking ship, force yourself upward, and gasp for air when you surface. I'm no stranger to this, the silent struggle, the primal terror when you're desperate to feel and be alive. But 4 nights ago, I felt that familiar pull, and each time I emerged, I shook off a strange gravity, like someone was watching from the railing as I jumped. When I slipped back into that unease, it rose again, a mental crag, a presence, something or some things through the walls of my apartment and all the way through the iron bars and the juniper trees that border the cemetery. I could not see them, but I felt their gathering, their closeness, their lament. She's gone, she's gone. A group of them, intoning as one. She's gone, she's gone. My body immobile, I urged fingers, then hands, then my arms to move, forced sound through my throat, pleading with every ounce of life within me to escape. And then I did, and the voices were gone, and I was just me again, shuddering and groping for my glasses. Thank you.
Personal. It's not personal. That's great. You think?
Yeah.
Hey, hey. Hi, David.
Very impressive. I thank you so much for that, Michael. I'm going to mute all again and introduce someone near and dear to my heart who's here with her boo, and she has been waiting very patiently for her spot. She is, I call her Poet Populist Emeritus for Cambridge. She is, she's come out with her collection 22 Again, which I'm sure she'll be able to send to you or give to you the next time we can actually see each other in the same room again. She has been published in a multitude of places, Oddball Magazine, Best Indie Lit, Stone's Throw. She is a great friend of Stone Soup, a good part of the Stone Soup family. See, I didn't say roster Blackbird. She is a part of this. She is definitely a new matriarch of the Stone Soup fan family, or definitely a favorite sister. And she has been a host, co-host. She's an organizer, and hopefully the poetry mashup for Cambridge or for the virtual world will happen. The Cambridge mashup, Cambridge-Boston mashup was one of the casualties of the pandemic as well, at least for now. And hopefully, just as Stone Soup will meet again, Tony's mashup dream will definitely shine. And here is right now, everybody, Tony B.
Hello. Happiness and joy, y'all. Anyway, no matter what we're going through, I'm here with my artist and poet friend.
Shalom.
He decided to spend time with me.
Shalom.
We're getting to know each other.
1, 2, 1, 2.
We've been doing that for a while now, Dexter Roberts and myself. So Dream Wake, I think this is fitting. This is from 22 Again. Dream Wake. I dream of debutante balls and pony stables. You know, the ones that fly upon clouds, soaring ponies I'm not too heavy to ride. I too dream of a bikini body, as is, accepting my thick, sweet caramelly jelly. Dream of traveling, finding, praising Aboriginal bones worldwide. I remember you. Sorry you're gone. I dream of living in a huge enough house, not too dusty to clean, my kid in her wing, me in his and ours, on farm near City House Blue, with a coop and cock for hen, for eggs, and pig family with baby bacons I will never eat. Goats, 'cause they cause trouble. No curry for them. Every animal should have a lover. My family will travel abroad thrice, once a year, dwell in an America, maybe. This empire may be coming to an. So reality says, I'm prepping a backpack. Tuna enough for 7 days, water ×2 for my loves, on that walking live Shiro, machete type-ish. This dream coming, hope it don't. All empires come to an. Waking up now, Cuba bound. Cuba. That's Dream Wake. Wrote that last year. Where we at, y'all? Where we at? Thank you, Chad. You're so nice. Happy birthday, Stone Soup. 49 years young.
Tony B.
Yes, girl. Yes, honey. Yes.
Rocket.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Much love. And we are going to move to the next person on the open mic.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later, Dexter. And we're going to have the next person on the open mic come up. This person has contributed fiction and poetry and reviews. You can check her Mrs. Hen Reviews blog on blogspot.com. You can also, now she's got the video on, and she's been published in multitude of places, Oddball Magazine, the Wilderness House Literary Review, I believe it's Ibbotson Press, a number of journals that I have nothing to do with and can't think of right now. Good God. Let's welcome up Shannon O'Connor.
Hello.
Hi, Shannon.
Hi. I'm reading a poem that I wrote last week. It's about going to work at the hospital. I work at Mass General. It's called Detours, or Getting a Ride to Massachusetts General Hospital During the COVID-19 Crisis. I like public transportation. I like not having to think when I go somewhere, being able to read, to ponder, to look at other people and imagine where they're going, what their lives are like. I don't enjoy driving. However, the pandemic occurred. My sister insisted upon driving me to work at the hospital so I didn't have to take the train often. She's not used to driving in the city, but she told me our father instructed her that driving in Boston is all about knowing the correct lane to be in. So she drove me. It made me nervous at first, but she got me to work without crashing. One day, on a sunny Thursday, we got to the Museum of Science and a detour appeared. She wouldn't know which lane to drive in. A panic erupted in the car for a moment, but we took a right. Sometimes a detour appears and we have to find a way to get to where we're going, though it's not our usual route. It's like life. We never know when a curve will come and force us to discover a new path to our destination, and sometimes we end up in a different place entirely, one where we did not expect to arrive, but it seems to work out in the end. We drove over the Longfellow Bridge at 8 o'clock in the morning. No traffic, not a typical day. I got to the hospital early and we decided that was a better way to get there. I told her when I left the car, I wasn't afraid to drive with her as I used to be. I went into the Yawkey building, showed my pass to display I didn't have any symptoms, sanitized my hands, got my face mask, and went to work. Thank you.
Awesome.
That was good.
Wow, I like that.
Thank you very much, Shannon. As a fellow hospital worker, I can relate to that for sure. Up, and salute to all the people working in hospitals nowadays. Up next, we have, yes. I was trying to look to see if I could find them through the camera, but again, there's so many people today. Oh yes, Aaron Reardon. Aaron, are you available? Looks like Aaron might be indisposed for the moment. So we will get back to her and go to somebody else for the moment. Okay, so let's welcome up Mr. Oh, looks like she just came in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No
I just got
problem.
a really awkward phone call right now.
Are there any other types in this pandemic? But let's.
Yeah, it's bad. A friend of mine just lost her dad, and
Oh, geez, I'm sorry
yeah,
about that.
yeah, it seems to be like a common theme lately. Yeah, but I'm okay.
Okay, I'll do a little intro while you present yourself. If you need to leave, by all means do. But thanks for being a trooper.
Also, I wanted to ask if I come around in the rotation again, Adam was with me, and he also has something.
Oh, I'll at least put him down in the name. You know, we're not even through the first part of the rotation yet. We have 30 people, but so I'll definitely put Adam down.
That's cool. I meant to do that earlier, but I couldn't figure out the chat because I'm technologically inept.
No problem. I'm gonna let me. Here we go. We're going to get to the next person. I'm going to introduce her. She's been a multiple Stone Soup feature, featuring a solo by herself, featuring her chapbooks made via her print store, where she used to work, and nobody tell. And also alongside her, her cousin Frank Reardon, who is featured at Stone Soup as well. She's been published in Oddball and other places. She is. I can only mention Oddball because I'm the editor there. So, I mean, if you've been other places, definitely mention them as well. I can't be everyone's press agent, but it's great to have her here. I've been wanting her back for a long time, but only on the open mic, but our worlds, everyone's worlds are just not colliding these days. But it's great to have her here as part of the Zoom call. Let's welcome up Aaron Reardon.
Thank you, Chad. And you can be my press agent anytime, even though I haven't written anything in a very long time. Anyway, this is probably my favorite thing that I ever wrote. I haven't written anything in a long time. This is called A Snail, a Slug. Inching along, a snail. I feel sluggish and 2 steps from death's tea time patio. Gravid weight, I'm juggling boulders. Sandstone of pyramid building proportion, wondering when we'll rise up from hell, chewing marigold. Knuckle joints taut and tender, clicking. How do you push back the pulsing wrath of rapture? I don't want to be the strongest girl on the talk show circuit, strongest in the world. I don't have the right look, the ability to lie to a camera, make love to an eager and ignorant studio audience. This takes a tenacity I wasn't built with. See me, I'm frozen. I wanted to raise horses with him on a farm in Missouri. Pretend I was a 15-gallon Texan with bullhorns, beautiful grass-fed pendulous breasts that clacked together like a Newton's cradle of stability, teeth cut from a milk carton and a clean bill of health. Robust in ways I shouldn't be, I asked you to bury me at his knees so his concern and love would have that slow trickle-down effect, like a snail, a slug, a bedbug drowning in melted icicles. How can I explain this paralysis when I'm 3 days down off my hummingbird trip and he can't peel me from the cracks of our musty concrete foundation? A Bastille with iron bars unseen and archangel guardians, words and fingers sharp and virulent as rusted nails. Lately not knowing if this wave will break over 3 minutes or years from our last perfect moment, if I'll ever be myself again, whoever she was. I don't want to jump on your lousy prescription drug plan where I sacrifice creativity for a platypus baby with cleft palate, or worse, a snail, a slug, a bedbug that wears my face and never stops wailing. Should I be tethered to this one heart, not his, but that of my mother, too forgiving, too relaxed in denial, with funeral pipes unremitting and a gallows behind her eye? A broken-legged Christian, burden of life and gray capped mountains at her shoulders, solid, immovable. No matter how many palm fronds shaken in her strange hands, the demons never get tired, never age. Could he leave me now in this hourglass vortex? The blackout moments lunging, pulling me in like mercurial quicksands, nose, lungs, judgments, and contrition. And he keeps asking me why, but my tongue is dangling from the ceiling, leaving silence where should be accountability. A quiet covenant made with the sunrise that its brightness will turn me upside down as I was in birth. Its warmth and radiation will bring salt to cover the earth, dissolve the snail, the slug, the bedbug, and find me magnanimous in a fizzling blaze of glory, all dried up, nothing more to give or forgive, and how the world will forget forever how I was the strongest girl who ever lived.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strongest girl who ever lived.
Say my condolences, Miss Erin.
Thank you so much.
Wow. Aaron, all I gotta say is when this is all done, promise to write more again.
I'm working on it, just nothing worth sharing.
I find that hard to believe. But
You know me. My own worst critic.
back to the mute box for you. We are going to the next person on the open mic, and it is Miss Georgia Park. Are you ready, Miss? Oop.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey.
Sup?
Just wanted to put my bunny hat on. But I'm actually not going to read tonight. I'm going to pass.
What? You got a bunny hat and you're going to read? You've made a lot of disappointed people. I think Bill Lewis is about to cry.
But you know what, Chad? I have been featured in Oddball magazine. Did you forget that?
When was it again?
I forget what poem was published, but it was Jello. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to have to go back and look.
Yeah.
I apologize. But you don't want to read a poem, even though you have the bunny ears on? You could do a duet with Jim in the second round, if we even have one.
All right. Just 1 second. Okay. Got it. Yep. I am going to read a poem. I'm going to read a poem from my latest book, Softly Glowing Exit Signs.
Excellent.
This one's called For How Stupid I Was and Lost. I drink because I can't write poetry of places like he does. I can't even read his poetry without flinching. Even though I crouched in an alley in some city in Spain, looking at the moon and drinking, inciting rage, and loss and hunger and the mourning that comes with all these things. And because I was so young, Jack Kerouac on top of it. I drink because my recitations have escaped me, and oh, how I used to love poetry and being hidden and not seeing anything, and the strange places and the fragmentation, and how insane I had gone when I let him fuck me in a cornfield on the farm. And my finger was ringless, and I stopped staring at it and started looking up, and the sky wasn't any different, not even at all. That's from Softly Glowing Exit Signs, my new book.
Hey.
I want that book. Where can I find your book?
Wow.
Georgia, where can I find your book? I want
Amazon. But not this weekend, because Amazon workers are on a strike this weekend, on Monday.
I need on Monday.
Hell yeah. And I can just like look you up, right? Just put Georgia Park
poetry.
We'll look at we'll try to add some links to certain works. I'll probably put a picture up tomorrow, and if anyone wants to link to certain works or books that they have out, or that they poems that they published that they happen to read tonight, definitely do so. I'm gonna have to look up the Jello poem, Georgia, for sure. Sorry, I don't remember that. I've been doing Oddball for 6 years. I've been doing hundreds of people lately over here. All right. With that, who do we have next? Oh yes. This person has been involved in a lot of Stone Soup ventures over the years. He is featured. He is featured alongside Charles Shively. He's been an advocate for a lot of the old guard of the Boston poetry scene. And it's always a pleasure to hear him read every year at the Boston Poetry Marathon. I'm hoping, I hope he's not gone. Uh-oh. We may have lost Jim Dunn, but I'm hoping we can get him back. Jim Dunn, if you're out there, just text me in Facebook land and I'll check for it. That's a little upsetting. I am trying to go through everyone. I am trying my best. And if you have come on in the last 10, 20 minutes, as in John and Steve Glines, Mary Jennings, I have not forgotten you. And I do see you. And I have included you on the list. So I'm hoping that other people are able to stay for the entirety of the open mic, however we decide to do this. I wasn't expecting as high a turnout as we did, and I am incredibly thrilled, and I'm incredibly grateful to all of you for that. Let's go to the next person on the open mic. Mr. Thomas Gagnon, are you ready, sir?
Yeah, okay. I looks like this poem is very old, but I haven't read this. It's called Hymn to a Cap. My scholar father, always little.
Oh, Thomas? Thomas, I don't mean to interrupt you, but it looks like you might have some kind of weird static on your mic, and I just bring it up because you didn't have that before. So you've read every week and you've been coming in clear as a bell, so I just don't want this to be ruined by one weird glitch.
I have always been hearing static. I don't know why either.
Huh. Well, let's give it another try and see what happens. Maybe not read so close to the mic. Maybe that's the issue. That's just a theory.
Huh?
That seems a little better. So let's have a go at it now.
Okay. My scholar father, always little, suddenly to my shock is shrinking, bending forward and sloping inward, like a mountain undergoing erosion. I imagine on the northern coast of France, ancestral place of his devoted focus. But this erosion is taking place at who knows how much speedier a pace. My scholar father, formerly like Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy, tries a venture down to our cellar, while my mother and myself are not nearby, and he falls down the stairs, where the banister, vanishing faster than 1830s Paris, turns to air. It's nothing, he claims to my mother. Not a mountain, I stunned, search for solace. So I buy a tawny cap with friendly fuzz, and wear the cap past the November trees till I foresee the color of movies. Tawny cap on my knee, I let laughter as yet buried by sadness come forward. My father, I assure myself, is still here, but none of this has consoling power. Where would my father seek solace, I wonder? In Georges Simenon, Jacques Barzin, or Voltaire? Where is the garden for me to cultivate? Back at home, I stretch out in my armchair, contemplate my tawny cap with friendly fuzz across from me at rest on my white desk, while the memory of my father's words, it's nothing, sits uncomprehended yet. Could you hear any of that?
Yeah, I can hear it. We could hear it. Yeah.
We heard.
There's a buzz on the line, but we could hear it. Yeah.
Nice.
We'll have to look into that. I had to buy a new mic for myself because the buzz on my laptop was so bad, and it's been good ever since. But
I couldn't really hear his words like clearly, but I heard some stuff. It was
No,
good.
it was good. We could hear it.
I liked it.
There was a buzz, but we could hear it.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you very much, Thomas. I'm bringing it to the next person on the open mic. Voted most shy member, 5 consecutive years running at Stone Soup. He is Bill Lewis. And I have a feeling I took too long to introduce him, so he's going to have to put on his speaker and his headset. So we'll give some,
Excuse me.
there we
Can
go.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Do I sound pretty decent?
Let's see. David Miller, does he sound decent? Yeah, I think he's good. I think it's good. If you get the David Miller seal of approval, if you get the David Miller thumbs up, you're generally good.
There we go. My new microphone.
Oh, nice.
So obviously, I know many of you saw me perform my first poem of the evening. How many people could tell me what poem that was? Paul Revere's Ride? This is a love poem dedicated to a friend of mine. There we are. Oh, it's sort of hard to see, but our relationship could probably be best described as partners in crime. Just a second, where did I put my, there we go. It is appropriately entitled, She Hates Me. I'm not her daddy. She knows that fact well. I'm her mom's funny old friend, and that's just as well. Her brother and sister, who are several years younger, they want a daddy. It's for him that they hunger. Just an old friend, but I'm fun and I play. We do neat things together whenever I stay. It's like you're our daddy, Caden whispered in my ear as he rode on my shoulders, big and brave with no fear. And BB awakes me from my slumbers on their couch by counting my fingers 1 through 10. She's no slouch. Daddy, she purrs when her mom is away. It makes me so happy she likes me that way. But Ashley is 8 and she is no fool. She knew her real dad. She knew he was cruel. I'm okay as a friend. I bring water balloons, but don't get too close. Don't try too soon. I'm just her mom's old friend, though I am fairly silly. There are few things as fun as tricking poor Billy. As we drove to the lake, she gave all the commands, so we ate at McDonald's to fulfill her demands. At the lake with the kids, it all splashed and played and found it to be a most wonderful day. Now, Ashley is clever, and it's a fair bet that when I get distracted, she'll get me all wet. She'll knock all my s'mores off into the fire, and driving me crazy, I fear she'll not tire. And trumping my cards and stealing my spoons, this obnoxious child makes me look like a goon. At 2 in the morning, it's vacation, no curfew. The little ones slump as if on the same cue. But Ashley is big and she wants to hear what adults say when children aren't near. Ash is a kid who never asks for permission. Let's get out of her way when she's on a mission. Like a pup who's searching for the most perfect ground, she crawls on my lap and turns herself around. And then, having found it, that most comfortable spot, she wraps my arms around her and nods off just a lot.
All right, thank you.
One of
Sorry,
these days, you should do that to my daughter because she would love that.
Sorry to leave the call. Sorry to leave your audience unmuted for a moment, but I do have a lovely announcement to make. I have Carol Weston on the line, and I am hoping, I figured out what was going on with the phone calls, with the phone system and why it was broken. It wasn't Carol's fault. It wasn't her orderly's fault. It was, I'm just gonna blame Zoom, because if it's my fault, I'm just gonna jump out the window now. But long story short, I'm gonna be. You might see her up on there on the list. It's my number, but I named it as Carol Weston. Hopefully, as the next person reads, she's gonna join in on the call, and then I will let her know when it's time to participate. So without further ado, let's bring it over now. Peter, let me see if Peter is on here. Peter Story, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, excellent.
Cool.
I have to scramble to find where you are now in this crazy lineup right now. But
It's funny.
I feel like saying I'm Chad Parento and this is my master class in poetry hosting. Okay. Okay. Too obscure a reference. Let's, no one's seen the master class commercials. Screw it. Okay. Peter Story is someone who has graced us with his presence in past times when he's visited Boston and Cambridge. It's been great to actually reconnect with him via Zoom. This is the magic of Zoom. And we're moving down the list, and I want to thank everyone who's had the patience to be waiting their turn. Dexter, Steve, Susie, I have Nadia, John. You guys are all coming up very soon. This has just been a wonderful night. You all are part of history as far as like the first Zoom-iversary call. So thank you all for that. And without any further ado, let's bring up Peter Story.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Chad. You graced me with your welcome. It's nice to be back. This one's a bit of a throwback to when we could go outside. It's called To Surf the Hurricane. The lazy lounging days of summers past, the hazy splashing sprays of endless waves trailing off across a sunset sea of tinkling glass, the biddies and their booze all on the sand and in the water playing while their happy laughing lips are with silly giggles praying that this summer will forever last. And glories to be won on the rocky runs of rolling waves for one who's brave enough to stand and surf, for one who'll lounge astride the softly swelling seas, for one who'll greet the growing of the tides and swim to meet the ocean as it rises high, who'll leap between the flowing peaks and feel the joy of striving in every hair that bristles on his hide, for one who'll dare to ride the tossing, frothy churning of the upset sea, the pits and sudden spearing peaks that couldn't skewer him for digestion in the deep. Glory to be won beneath the lazy snoozing of the gentle summer sun. Glory. This hollow, fleeting glory, still, that's glory, and from these storied waves a king emerged to wear a briny crown atop his lordly brown bedraggled hair, and what atop the waves he dared made all the other surfers say, he's mad, while all the bouncing biddies said, he's bad, to make their jealous boos feel sad and wish they had the glory that surf king had, that surf king singing clear and glad beyond the reach of the breakers that broke unresting against the beach. And the lazy, lounging summer let the surf king keep his glory. It let him dwell and play and waste his days atop the softly lapping swells upon the warm and welcome sea. But summer cooled, and the biddies and their jealous boos went back to school to learn advantage from the ways in which this world worked. This dying of the summer's joyful crying irked the summer king. No joy did him the empty beaches bring, no melodies he found in the curses that the seagulls sing, just squawking, harsh and cruel and mocking. He that was the king before the summer cool, before the longings of this wistful autumn crowned a fool, as cold gusty autumn blustered, as the king's old tarnished scepter rusted. There came the rumor of a gloom that lurked away at sea, a hissing and a whispering of the waves foretelling trouble in a mighty turbulence to be a storm, a hurricane that when it came would lash the shore with lacerating sprays and smash the melancholy of the bitter autumn's tranquil reverie, and to his former glory it would give the king acclaim. So, in the public square, beneath a roiling sky of oiling air, he in his shout proclaimed, I will surf this hurricane! And all the other surfers said, he's mad! Well, all the biddies said, he's bad. And then our bookish boos for once were glad that they were not the king. The tide churned high beneath the scowling sky, and all the mocking gulls had stopped their cries to hide in sheltered crannies from the coming storm when, alone, unwatched by all the hiding eyes of the sheltered men and women that had cheered him when that long-gone summer seemed that it would never end, the surf king on his board began to paddle towards the menace that would bring his kingdom to its end. Came carnage! Calm returned. The whole next day, wet air hung grayly round the town like ashes out the urn. But ever after, by the summer's moonlight, pairs of lovers, all alone at night on beach, will in the morning tell the story of a spark they'd seen. This silver spray, this flash of lightning dashing across the rollers, shredding barrels like a saw blade, like a sprite, a king. Though none alike, all each the same will say. If you listen close, you'll hear him sing. Thanks, everyone.
Matt.
Yes. Peter Story.
Right. Surfer dude. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic
Too
poem.
long, man.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys very much. And I want to introduce the long-awaited return of Our Lady Queen of Stone Soup. She's going to say hello to you now, Carol Weston.
Hello.
Say it again, Carol.
Carol. Hello.
Carol Weston
Carol
is
Weston
listening.
is listening.
She is. She's going to be
She's
reading a
gonna be
poem
reading
very
a poem very
shortly, but
shortly,
I managed to
but I managed
finagle
to
the
finagle
phone
the
so she
phone
can
so
come
she
in and
can
listen
come in
to
and
you,
listen to you,
and she'll read a
and she'll
poem
read a
later.
poem later.
Anything else you want
Anything
to
else
say,
you want
Carol?
to say, Carol? What did you say?
Oh, Jesus. I said
I
I'm going
said
to
I'm
be
going to
bringing
be
you in
bringing
to
you
read a
in to
poem
read a
later.
poem later. I cannot read, or I can read.
You can
You
read.
can
Of course
read.
you
Of
can
course
read.
you can read. I can read. Okay, God.
Okay, so
okay,
stand by and I'll let you
and I'll
know.
let you know. Okay.
So I'm
Okay.
gonna
Long ago,
just give me 1 minute.
long
Go on.
ago, I read. Is that?
Carol, I'm going to call you when it's time, okay? I'm going to let you know when it's time to read. Okay. This is totally not going to go wrong in any way whatsoever. I have a good feeling about this. All right. This is a beautiful plan, as the president would say. Very beautiful. Okay. Up next, let's bring up MP Carver was going to be next, but she had to bail out, and she wished us the best and wished us all happy 49th. And thanks for everyone's contributions. Up next is a person who he kind of needs no introduction because I already introduced him earlier today. But I'm going to do it again. This person is featured everywhere in Boston. He's been an amazing poet who's I've heard too little of in the last few years, and it's going to be great to hear him tonight. Welcome to Stone Soup. Welcome back to Stone Soup. Hopefully, we can do a live feature with him, and by live I mean in the presence of our new location at Fort Point Arts Community Assemblage Gallery. But for now, this is amazing. This is great, and I'm very thankful. Let's welcome up Douglas Bishop.
Hello. All right. So I'm on, huh? Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Okay, great. Yeah, I wanted to be here tonight for this anniversary because I did my first poetry feature ever at Stone Soup back in 1978. And Jack Powers was there, and Billy Barnum was there. If you don't know who they are, you should find out. But you know, I wanted to be there to continue this this legacy. And thank you so much to Chad for keeping things going, and everybody else who's come in and contributed. You know, I run an open mic, Untitled Open Mic in Lowell, Massachusetts. And that open mic has been going for 13 years. But, you know, by that measure, we're babies compared to Stone Soup. So I'm really happy to be able to be here and offer, you know, my poem for this community. So I thought I'd read a poem about poetry. So here it is. I am invisible here. The person you are looking at is not me. I may speak with his voice, but don't assume he is talking about himself. If only his mouth were bigger, he could be the conduit for a flood of voices, emptying out an ocean of words, speaking with 1,000 tongues in 1,000 dead languages, insinuating my way into your genetic memory. There's so many poets here. If you were really able to listen to them all, then you might hear me. Silence is my native land, and song my second language. The prison of promises painted over lies is mine too. I'm an architect of impossibility, scaffolding the gap between you and what you call reality. I could peel off the skin, lay bare the blood and sinew, but my name would still mean less than nothing. Everyone speaks to me. They all say, me, me. I am the one who said that, the one who dreamed this dream that no one else can dream. But they are no more than the first fat flakes of fall coming down heavy on brightly colored leaves. No one has ever been sustained by such improbable prettiness. There is no end to the explanations that might try to convince you that I do not exist. But I am more important to opening your home than that key jangling around in your pocket. My love does not come from this foolish old man, babbling before you, soaked in wishes, aching with sound. Everyone speaks to me. Even the aspiration of vegetables echo in my voice. Do you think I am joking? The only ones who really know how to laugh. Branches bend at crazy angles, grasses lift their seeds to the sky, and purple crocuses emerge from the snow so that you might duly praise them. Faced with the oxymoron of identity, the only proper response is devotion. I want you to feel the energy building up inside the mitochondria of your cells. I want you to listen like a surgeon, cut deep and pull out the beating, bloody heart of beauty. You can't see me here, but I will keep whispering in your ear, drowning in the flood of every day, because the light is not to be taken for granted. And all your clever prestidigitation will never manufacture mystery. I am invisible here because what you need to create is the message, not the messenger. The poem, not the poet.
Amazing, amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Douglas. It was great to have your voice here. I am, give me 1 second. I just have to, Carol's asking a question, and one more. Carol wanted me to let you know that that was wonderful. She is listening, and yeah, this is great. And we're gonna move over to Dexter. Are you ready to read, sir?
Yes, I am.
And ladies and gentlemen, this man has been involved in Stone Soup. He has also been a co-host for the Stone Soup family. He has also been a feature for the Stone Soup family, and he is an accomplished artist who has had shows all around the Boston area. And his work is worthy of recognition. Look up his name on my blog. I've definitely written about his stuff, and I'm sure you can find more. Hopefully, and when things are...
And we love comics.
Yes, and he loves comics. And hopefully, as I was going to say, when things are safer... Hopefully, when things are safer, Dexter can have another art show outside the Squirrel Park area. And
oh, yeah.
That's something I miss already. And it hasn't even happened yet. It's supposed to happen in this September. I want it to happen. But for now, let's welcome up Dexter Roberts.
1 2 1 2 everyone. Been a while. Let's see. I got a little something for you guys. Editorial mandates artistic creative. Rewind. Editorial mandates artistic creativity to bring back martial law. Who is a retcon? Slogans: stay at home. Distance social, 5'11" and 3/4. African Americans are mostly the ones. Lawyers and doctors. Nurses her free plate of food as she thinks, will I catch it next? Does she have it inside of me to defeat her arch enemy? Be here in 30 for the return of life's deadliest enemies, the maniacal, insane foresight.
Maniacal.
Good job, Dexter.
Thanks.
Yeah, there you go.
Thank you.
Keeping up with Carol, who is impressed by everyone, especially the last few people she's heard. Thank you very much, Dexter. Next person on is someone who has had a lot of history with Stone Soup. She is she's been a multiple feature, I think both under Jack Powers' reign as a host and mine. I am excited to have her on here tonight. She used to host her own venue. She is a poet, writer, journalist, activist, advocate, activist, a whole bunch of other A words, all the nice A words. Let's bring up Susie Davidson.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Am I on? Unmuted?
You are on.
I'm unmuted. Okay. That's true. Thank you, Chad. And the word history is really synonymous with Stone Soup. I started going around 1990, the winter of 1990, I remember. And really, it's gone through many incarnations, and Chad is really to be commended. And I'm always amazed at how well he keeps it going and how he does it. And of course, Jack before him did it for decades. And so it's very emotional, you know, and back when I was going all the time, and James and Doug and many people who are Eric, who I see here, Jim, well remember that the place was packed. It was I would like to say its heyday, with no slight to Chad, because you couldn't get a seat. And for poetry to be that cool was really something to see. And so it's really emotional. It's great to be here. But I'm still as busy as ever, as Chad mentioned. I'm still doing all of those things and more. And so for tonight, I'm going to read from legendary, couple of quick ones from legendary poets. And one is Robert Frost. And actually had my boyfriend just message me a few, and I like these the most. This is called Fire and Ice. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have read that before spring, but I did. Okay, and here's one called A Supermarket in California by Allen Ginsberg, and it speaks to me because I really miss traveling right now. What thoughts I have of you tonight, Walt Whitman, for I walk down the side streets under the trees with a headache, self-conscious, looking at the full moon, in my hungry fatigue and shopping for images. I went into the neon fruit supermarket, dreaming of your enumerations. What peaches and what penumbras, whole families shopping at night, aisles full of husbands, wives, in the avocados, babies in the tomatoes, And you, Garcia Lorca, what were you doing down by the watermelons? I saw you, Walt Whitman, childless, lonely old grubber, poking among the meats in the refrigerator and eyeing the grocery boys. I heard you asking questions of each. Who killed the pork chops? What price bananas? Are you my angel? I walked in and out of the brilliant stacks of cans following you, and followed in my imagination by the store detective. We strode down the open corridors together in our solitary fancy, tasting artichokes, possessing every frozen delicacy, and never passing the cashier. Where are we going, Walt Whitman? The doors close in an hour. Which way does your beard point tonight? I touch your book and dream of our odyssey in the supermarket and feel absurd. Will we walk all night through solitary streets? The trees add shade to shade, lights out in the houses. We'll both be lonely. Will we stroll dreaming of the lost America of love, past blue automobiles in driveways, home to our silent cottage? Ah, dear Father Graybeard, lonely old courage teacher, what America did you have when Sharon quit poling his ferry and you got out on a smoking bank and stood watching the boat disappear on the black waters of Lethe? That's it. Thanks.
Oh, Whitman, Ginsburg, Robert Frost,
and supermarket.
Garcia Lorca. Oh my God.
Enjoyed the backstory too. I caught on to it.
Girl, you were spot on with that.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we gotta meet. We have to meet.
Thank you very much, Susie. That was fantastic. And it is without, now just give me 5 seconds to let Carol know that she's on. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, because I don't know how much longer this connection will last, especially. This woman has, I remember her back in 2006, May 1st, to this day. It was almost 15 years ago, where she was the main feature for the 35th anniversary of Stone Soup Poetry, along with a cadre of other co-features. And I'm very proud to let you know that by tomorrow, her full feature from that day, almost 15 years ago, is going to be available on YouTube for everyone to witness. She was amazing then, she's amazing now, and she's able to join us through the magic of my iPhone, basically. And she's going to come on to it now, and I'm going to introduce, as soon as I find her, here we go, Miss Carol Weston. You're on, Carol.
This is Carol Weston. When I was very young, I read The Romance of Leonardo da Vinci by Dmitri Merezhkovsky. It influenced me deeply. Did you see the program last night between 9 and 11 on Leonardo da Vinci, his inventions and his art? Anyway, so this is my poem, Through the Mind of Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo, who condemned me to see, with my hands in the thick of my beard, answers everywhere, that over the bridge of my nose I should see in the running water the process of every running thing. Air is to be mounted, sun is to be looked upon, veins of a leaf in my hand burn in my brain with questions and answers. Not a stone in the road is free of messages, nor the nose of a single face can pass me without the anguish of my consciousness following it. the ocean of things. The ocean of things tries to bear me down, tries to bear me down. When I lift my foot to walk forward, it is as if the roots of all things are dragging at my heel. The force of doubt is equal to the force of energy that prompts me, and that in me which does not want to move is answered by a gradual mastery, a continual momentum that cannot be broken. I put blinders over my heart, and I push forward. I love by the supreme organization of the machine of myself. What if the pale shell of a student should hang himself from my rafter, his earnest face lost in the knot of my struggle? I hold a bird in my hand, and its feathers shape to the running wind. My heart leaps with its heart. I want to lift men up. I want to go myself up out of the force that holds me down. I rest my wings against the wind and sky, and when the one that flies them fails, all of my inside self falls with him, and I flail the two of us until we rise again. There's nothing of mine I set in flight without a limb of myself, aloft and subject to obliteration. Now let's see, the next one is to John, the walking stick. At home, at one, in woods we wander, the walking stick guiding us between branches, along paths, along ridges of mind. We lie through scared nights, our breaths drawn up into starlight. We mount mountains. We look down collecting. We look up by sunlight, by snowlight, by snow spectrum. Our feet can find by dark the feel of past, by night the creep of land, our hand in hand. And then I will just do the first verse of the Ammonite. The Ammonite is the fossil. Okay. The fossil noddled. Okay. And when on our wedding trip, we came to Oxford Museum, and John said, you have 5 minutes to go in there. So I went in. That's the way travel is. And there was this monstrosity, 18 feet wide. What is that? I asked the guard, and he said, Ammonite. Ammonite. Spirals, whorls, sutures, septa, the form of time, the eternal winding, the clue in the curling of water as it moves in the whirlpool. The force of water running out is the spiral, is the shape of the shell, is the shape of the nebula. All these are from the book that Jack Powers made for me, called Spirals, Whorls, Sutures, Septa. Okay, well, thank God for your ears if you hear it. Okay, bye.
Yeah!
Yay, Carol.
Woo! Carol.
Carol, 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 Carol.
Carol, Carol.
Carol.
Oh my. I'm just going to, well, first of all, let me just thank Carol. I'm just letting her know. Carol is going to be a listener for the rest of the show. The reason why I'm not talking over her or trying to is because I'm basically connected my phone. I basically signed into the meeting with my own phone, then I connected the phone to, then I called her and I merged the calls. So it's actually kind of funny. While you guys were all listening, I got to listen in stereo because I'm listening with my phone beside here and Carol's all echoey like whirls, scepters, 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 scepters. So it was almost like introducing her in baseball, like number 57, 777. Carol Weston. So I had the best stereo out of everyone. Today I consider myself the luckiest listener on the face of the earth. And with that, wow, I just want to take a deep breath. That was the most amazing thing tonight. And we have people joining us on video in rabbit suits. So this we have raised the bar for Stone Soup, each and every one of you, and I thank you for that. And I'm going to bring to the open mic next, Nadia Garofalo. Please, your time is now.
Awesome. Well, I was lured here by Georgia Park, thinking that I was just going to be listening, but thank you for giving me space to read as well.
Thank you for coming. And thank you, Georgia Park.
I'm going to read my piece that was published in Smitten. This is what love looks like. It's an anthology of queer poetry written by women for women. So my piece, I have one piece in that, and I'm going to read that to you guys now. Called Summer 2018. The chlorine on your skin tastes like summer. You've gone miles around the world on one street of Chicago. It'll come if you want it. You never seem to want. Take direction from the tides and the path of least resistance. Did my bum hip remind you of what it feels like to be resisted? There's no adventure to you, just more of the same. And I'm tired of walking. Do I still remind you of the rain? I tried to put away the memory, that smell of your skin. It's older than even you, and you can't own it again. Thank you.
Nice. Very nice.
Very nice.
Wow.
You like my beat?
I love it.
Thank you.
I like girls too.
Wow. Our open mic love is great. And I think we got a backup band somewhere. I don't know. I just kept on hearing music. Oh, hi, Jason. Up next, and thank you again very much, Nadia. We're going to bring up next this person who completed a 300 poem challenge for National Poetry Month. National Poetry Month is usually when you average a poem a day for 30 days. There's a 365 challenge, which is pretty self-explanatory. This man decided to do just about that much in 30 days. Obviously not sleeping. And he was published in Oddball, and he contributed art to Oddball now. And he's a busy guy. He's a busy guy. How does he do it? I don't know. Let's welcome up Stephen Anstey.
Hi there, Chad. Thank you for having me tonight. And so I decided the poem that I'm going to read is very Stone Soup tangent. So in 2009, when I read it at Stone Soup, one of the reasons I ended up over there was I was friends with Minion. I think a lot of you probably know Minion Ariel King. She's pretty well known in Boston. And so I ended up following her over to Stone Soup. I ended up getting a feature over there, meeting Jack Parker, and the whole thing. So that was kind of my Stone Soup experience, was quite a whirlwind. I worked in Boston at the time, so I was able to go. As I didn't work in Boston shortly after that, I really haven't got back too much over the years, and it makes me feel terrible and guilty. But I'm very supportive of you guys, and I'm really glad to be here tonight. So this one is my Stone Soup tangent poem. It's called Everyday Poems. My friend Minion is writing poems every day, and every one of them is a window into the moment. And I want to cry because she knows what beauty is and what pain is and what it is to be when others are hardly being at all. And my friend Chad is writing poems and pushing others to write poems and helping others to share poems. And every day, every damn day, I want to cry because he knows what passion is and what suffering is and what it is to be when others are hardly being at all. And I can see Chad on the tee and Minion walking down the street, making their way home, full of hurt and sadness and fear, and still unconquerable. Poems like croutons on these most unsalad of days. And it seems rude if I don't honor them with passion and compliment them with poems, and every day remember them and how they are with me, and how they are with me, and how they are fighting for this too, and how they are believing it matters too, and how they know what it is to be and why. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice. Good job. Great poem. That was great.
Yes.
Stephen, thank you very much for that loving tribute to Minion. Personally, I think that Chad guy's gonna bring you down. But no, seriously, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing the love and for being a great contributor to the online open mic. You're here now, and that's really all that matters. And I should also mention that Stephen is also a venue host at a gathering in Lowell every Wednesday night. And if you're ever in Lowell, you should check that out. I am going to slightly go off the list to go back to someone who I wanted to get a while ago. Mr. Jim Dunn, who has been a fantastic contributor to the Boston poetry scene. He is, I first remember hearing his work distinctly during a tribute night of poetry in honor of Charles Shively, who was actually read there. I was happy to get Charles Shively to read there before he passed away years later. Jim Dunn was an advocate for a lot of the old guard of the Boston poetry scene. And he continues to help support poets in the scene today. Most notably, in my mind, with the Boston Poetry Marathon, which happens every summer now, and where he's a regular reader. And I'm trying to see if Jim is ready now. Jim, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, excellent.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jim Dunn.
Thanks, Chad. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I was thinking a lot about Jack lately, and I'm glad I joined. And I'm glad Jim's here. I'm glad Chad's keeping it going. In 2007, my friend Charlie and I read together at Stone Soup when it was on Prospect Street. But going back to the 90s, at the 25th anniversary with Ed Sanders and Jack standing up there just with his own way going, let us pray. The good Lord's willing, the creeks don't rise. And that was Jack's favorite moniker. The good Lord's willing and the creeks don't rise. So I'd like to read a poem by another friend of ours who I met at Stone Soup on a Sunday. His name is Garrett Lansing, and on his birthday, these poems kind of dropped from the sky. His roommate John found this notebook, and I've been working on transcribing these poems. So let me read this to you for Garrett, and I'm sure Carol will enjoy this too, because Carol was very close to Garrett, and as was Jim Burley. And Garrett was a huge supporter of Stone Soup and of Boston poetry and Gloucester poetry. He died 2 years ago, and he was just amazing, brilliant light of poetry. Aligning your production with society's demands. Argument, pent. Wherever Google goes, integument and pent. Owned by onerous, aggregate, social person, unaligned supposedly, speaking street, neat production, in a country of lab, affronting the lumps you encounter every day or imagine the suspicion afforded by frantic collation. Stop, halt, give in, suck it and see. Why is the fly waving in General Chu's kimono? The distance lends enchantment to the view and robes the mountain in its azure hue. Thomas Campbell. Why not sneeze, Jim Dunn? Why not sneeze, Joe Burns? Why not sneeze, Amanda Cook? Title, Relations Between Man and Relations Between Things. Who's hussy? Tet, the flip side of excessive fantasia, the surviving decor of breastfeeding, matured integrity and breastfeeding, frottage in the cottage, the mobile home of breastfeeding, folderol of, eremitical I am surely not, some assumed me so to be, the hidden midden, grizzled, not grisly. Garrett Lansing, unpublished poem, found on his birthday. And Chad mentioned our good friend, Charlie Shively, who was at home for the last couple of years of his life, and right on Dana Street there. And I used to go visit him. And his favorite, and he was an amazing scholar of Walt Whitman. He taught for years down at UMass, really a leading light of the gay liberation movement, who was known, he not only burned his Harvard degree on the Common, but he also burned the Bible and started a riot in 1977. And he was an amazing anarchist and a true poet of Stone Soup. And so this is for him. And every time I go to visit him, he would say to me, well, what should I do now? I'm like, Charlie, you can do whatever you want. And sadly, he died about a year ago. So this poem is titled, What Should I Do Now? For Charlie Shively. He sits crookedly, bent towards the boredom of the moment. All tired eyes rest upon him. Tongues cluck roofs of mouths like thirsty dogs in an endless search. His voice in waves on the beach where secrets meet the sea. His mind a hawk of smoke, great wings of wind, talons of gathering fog. His wishes burnt out halos of simple saintly intent to make up his mind and go home. Thank you. Thank you, Chad. Thank you. Thank you.
Amazing. Yes.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Yes. Yes.
I'm glad we caught you. We are, who are we now at? I'm going to see, we've lost a couple of people due to technical difficulties, so I'm hoping she is still on and that we can hear her work. Adam is coming up, and now before that, she's been waiting a good long while. And I want to bring up Mary Jennings to the open mic. Mary, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, great. All right. All right. I wrote this poem just a little over a year ago, about once favorite artist of mine who had a sudden change of heart and political mind, and so this is titled Feet of Clay. Walk away on your feet of clay. You will lose them someday anyway. They will crumble beneath you. You will hobble on stumps of ankles till crawling on your hands and knees is the better way. And he will have you where he wants you. Your resolve was weak to begin with. A lack of backbone marks your alleged awakening. Claiming our cause has been a hotbed of murderous hypocrisies justifies your defection to the opposition. The opposition, with its pugilism and avarice, you claim is the path to peace, humanity's salvation. He spews on your womanhood. You bend towards him. Let him wipe his boots on your evocative art, if it will heal his bone spurs. Attack his investigator with obvious lies about his family connections. Lucky for you, he's too busy to sue. Unlike your newfound savior wanting to regulate what everyone says about him. He has you where he wants you, broken in spirit, a vacancy of logic, misplaced divinity, lack of credibility, caving into the spin machine. Walk away on your feet of clay. You will lose them someday anyway. Thank you.
Hey.
Rock and roll.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Excuse my language, but that was the shit.
That was the shit. That was the shit.
Hey, folks, I gotta head out. Happy birthday, Stone Soup. Have a great night, folks.
Happy birthday, Stone.
Thank you guys very much. And up next, someone who has been waiting very patiently for his spot again. It's kind of missed him the first time around. I want to get him now. He's joining us via Aaron Reardon's satellite feed live from Lynn. Let's welcome up Adam.
Hello.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I won't tell the story.
Get on with it, you whore.
Okay.
I'm at least 3 beers from here. For my whiskey soured as the vodka cleared. The calendar for the motor skills impaired. And here's to the Hemingways by default. And cheers to the seismic waves by default. And where's my keys as the grounds for dismissal? Open consuming olives, limes, pickled eggs, and salt. As little plastic sabers lunge at us in despair. And I can't remember what I was just saying to you. Or register your look of fear. The map says this place was washed away. Folded up neat while I steer. The mile markers weren't permanent. The direction incompetent. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. Score 1 round for the road and stop bleeding. Where am I? Thank you.
Very moving.
Yeah.
Very moving.
Nice.
Oops,
Nice.
20.
That was so good.
We lost a few, but that's cool. We good. We good. Stone Soup birthday.
Amazing.
Again, I'm being looked at like a dog that's just shown a card trick. I forgot to unmute. Thank you very much, Adam, for that. And thanks to both you and Aaron for staying on since the beginning. I know a lot of people have to leave. If you do, that's good. That's great. Just being here has been gift enough, but thanks again, especially to those of you who have been staying since damn near the beginning, especially those of you who have been waiting for a little while for your turn. One such person who's coming up now is John. John, are you there? Uh-oh. John? Okay, there's a man with a white hair and mustache. His name, his John is next to his ID there. Yeah, that's you. Look, yeah, you looking.
Oh.
There we go.
Oh, I'm on the list. I can't see you guys anymore. You all disappeared. But can you see? Yeah.
I can definitely see you, and I can definitely hear you.
Well, that's strange. Oh, I didn't know I was on the list.
Do you want to be on the list?
But no, I'll pass. I didn't have anything ready. I was just sitting in and saying happy birthday.
Well, thank you again,
It
John.
all looks great. That was amazing hearing Carol, and that effect you got somehow was just astounding. I hope that's recorded or something. That was amazing.
So do I. But
anyway, thanks for everything.
Well, if you want to come back and
like I said, my screen went blank, but I'll try to check in another time. This is interesting.
Well, stay on.
Thanks.
And if you do want to read, just raise your hand, just wave your hand during an intermission and or a quick between open micers if you want to read. But
yeah, no, I think I'm gonna back out now. I've got to go over and check some stuff on the stove. That sounds like a cliche, but it's really true.
Not a problem.
Okay, great to see you all. Bye.
Thank you, John.
Yep.
Okay, up next, getting through it now. Yes, he's been a silent observer, which is incredibly ironic given his contributions to Stone Soup. I've called him the Pulse, Ethan Mackler, the bassist who has played in the background of many a poet on the open mic, on the feature, on the Stone Soup roster. And he has something special for us, and I hope this works out just because I've been barely able to figure out audio on Stone Soup myself. So let us see Ethan work his Black Wednesday magic.
Hey, Chad, can everyone hear me?
Perfectly clear.
Excellent. All right. So I'm on somewhat primitive means this evening. I was going to accompany a recording of Jack and some drum stuff I found online. So if anyone has earphones, this would be a very great time to use them if you are not already. All right, so here we go. And so I'm using the microphone on the phone, so it's going to be in a weird angle, so you won't see me at my best side. All right, here we go.
Understanding. This is what is, dearest Lord, I accept. Most humbly, your gift of pain, so sensitized to and everything I had previously ignored, so heightened in exaltation of that beauteous being lodged inside this me, trapped within my predilection to pleasure. So my pain had been confined like a prisoner in a forlorn cell-block. Oh, so ignored my glorious rescuer, my reason to be alive. I worship your gift of precious intensity. Without you, where would I be? Joy attends me, my crucible, mine alone. You, my deliverer. Anguish, we are betrothed. Yes, you are mine forever.
All right, did you hear that?
Yeah, thank
That was
you.
great, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Evan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
My phone was breaking up a little
Good
bit.
Lord
So I was
willing.
like, yeah, I got it.
Awesome.
Yes,
You
yes.
guys,
That was amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna have to mute everyone so I can save my ears. Oh my God. Okay, I'm muting everyone so I can save my ears. Thank you so much. Ethan, I don't know if you noticed, but Blackbird was dancing so much I wanted to make a GIF of it. But but for those of you not in the know, and it's possible some of you don't, that was a clip of Jack Powers. I believe that's the one I gave you, Ethan, or sent you a link to a while ago. Correct?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I found it. Yes, it was.
Yeah, but and hopefully with the a while ago I had a project that I started with a Steve Von Derek, who is a filmmaker. He did Who is Vermin Supreme, the documentary, and he also did volunteer work with the Out of the Blue Gallery. So he's very associated with Stone Soup. So it's thanks to his help that I got a lot of DVDs and VHS tapes translated to video. It took a little doing because the videos weren't susceptible to Microsoft Movie Maker, but with a little finagling, I'm going to be able to get more clips of Stone Soup's past performances, including Carol Weston's from the 35th anniversary. And hopefully that's going to include some Jack Power clips. So I will keep you in the loop, Ethan, to see what we can do. And again, I thank you for your contributions ongoing and finding a way to make it work beautifully, even during an awkward situation where none of us are in a recording studio.
Thanks. I got to split. So.
All right. Thank you again, Ethan.
Thanks.
And with that, we're gonna close out tonight. No, we're gonna. I know he's itching to waiting. Like he's out there with his arm on his guitar going. See, this person is the editor and publisher of Oddball Magazine, the host of the Oddball Show podcast, and a doer of many, many other things, public speaker, advocate, mental health advocate, and guitar player under the guise of his musical persona, Man the Storm. Let's welcome up Mr. Jason Wright.
Hey, what a great event, Chad. So awesome. Thank you for having it, and a great event. I guess I'll play a song. Okay, here we go. Can you hear me okay? Did it sound okay? Oh, whatever. All right, here we go. All right, here we go. I woke up some Sunday afternoon. Maybe it was Saturday morning cartoon. Maybe it was Monday. I had to get up and go to work. Maybe it was Tuesday, 'cause I got drunk. Maybe it was Wednesday. She had flowers in her hair. Maybe it was Thursday. I couldn't seem to care. My boss told to me, got to get to work on time. And I said to him, maybe I'll give it another try. So I walked down the street, set my alarm, tattooed the time right on my forearm, and it said, it's always 5 o'clock in heaven. Drinking time for me. I've been drinking with James Dean Liberty. It's always 5 o'clock in heaven. That's what I said. I took too many pills that night, and I woke up dead. And I woke up, it's always 5 o'clock in heaven. Drinking time for me. I've been drinking with Chesty. Lady Liberty. It's always 5 o'clock in heaven. Drinking time for me. I've been drinking with James Dean and Liberty.
Yay!
I haven't been able to use it.
Yes.
Right.
Hey. Wait a minute. Who was that? Who was that? I was listening to the song, but who was that? No. Who
That was Jason.
that?
That was Jason Wright, Blackbird.
Hey,
I
Jason.
don't think you've met him yet.
Good, Jason.
Thank you.
Shirt.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Like your wing shirt.
Thank you. Yeah, I like the wing shirt too. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely fantastic.
So, yes. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jason. We're going to move towards the end, and before we go to the two penultimate closers of this portion, I wanted to put something into the open mic as well. One of the reasons that Douglas Bishop wanted to come on when he did, he's not here right now, but he had mentioned he was one of the few people left around who remembers Stone Soup in the days of not just Jack Powers, but also Bill Barnum. Bill Barnum of course can't be with us this time. He passed away late last year. And part of me is kind of glad he doesn't have to go through the nightmare that everyone else is going through, because he surely would have been immunocompromised if he was still around. But at the same time, the part of me would think it hilarious to see him struggle with the Zoom camera with his friend Bob in the background, just going, I'm going to do for this session 6 sestinas in a row. And you just go, son of a bitch. He is, I wish I could be there for that. I could have been there for that. In an alternate universe, he is still doing 7 sonnets in succession, but sadly we can't do that. But I just want to read the Stone Soup Crouton poem that I wrote last July, days after his passing. And I wrote the Stone Soup Crouton after announcing to a group of people in Stone Soup that I just mentioned his passing in aside, thinking that the news was spread and no one knew. So it was kind of a shocking happening for everybody. And I ended up writing this poem after people who knew him very well, including Carol Weston, James Van Looy, and others, said what they had to say. So this is called Last Night Between Heaven and Hell, Where Poets Go, for Bill Barnum. There's a snake in your throat, trying to hide from God and not choke to death on any loose hairs. It stalls for time, asks if you've been saved, wonders what you did before you had faith in more than just yourself. Skin bruised to the color of coffee, you share the plight of a bumblebee with its wings pulled. Old street mime, your desperate ballet pulls the reptile out with an invisible rope. You declare on guard, charge with cane as sword. The serpent flees to retry the garden, banning it. Before any applause, you head down the sidewalk, planning own Eden, an acreage of rare design.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Okay, enough of that. You don't want this guy's, you don't want my head getting any bigger. My hair will look thinner. Anyway, the next person coming up on the open mic is actually, it's like a 1-2 finish punch. These are two people who were instrumental in keeping Stone Soup going about a year back when Stone Soup was kicked out of the Brew on the Grid tavern. We didn't have anywhere to go, and I just did not want to go looking for a place, so we ended up going to the First Parish right across from Park Street. That was a very interesting place. We even had space to read blasphemous poems in one of the beautiful chapels, and it wouldn't have been done if not for the resources and the advocacy of the next two people coming up. First up, I want to introduce Jan Rowe. You're up, Jan. Oh, wait, let me unmute you. Something happened. There you go. You're on now. Uh-oh. For some reason, Jan, I can't mute you. I can't. Oh, how about now?
Can you hear me now?
Oh, now I can hear you. Don't touch a button.
Okay, I won't touch anything. I remember Stone Soup from TT the Bears and then Out of the Blue in the 90s, but also Jack Powers had a spaghetti dinner at St. John's Church on Bowden Street. I think it was Friday night spaghetti dinner. Now, after he passed, years later, that church merged with our church at the cathedral where Stone Soup was briefly, and where they've had Monday lunch since '84 when Reagan started to cut the budget. But what I'm going to read is just a couple sentences, and it's from the teach-in. This is what I would do at the teach-in Peace Vigil that is every Saturday since '98 on the Common from 1 to 2. But it is on hiatus right now because there's nobody downtown, just the homeless that we know, many from our church. So this is what I would say. May Day 2020. The governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, will not release the names of the nursing home dead as he reopens much of Florida. Very concerned about those numbers. Just like former governor of Florida, Ron Scott, now a senator, former CEO of Healthcare of America, that had the biggest fraud of Medicaid and Medicare. He should be in prison. But Ron Scott was very glad that he made, for Florida, unemployment very hard to get, worried about those numbers. And so now tens of thousands of people cannot access unemployment in Florida. Another thing, the people of Florida by ballot overwhelmingly desire ex-felons to vote. The Republicans in charge, not so much. And finally, pensions. I just realized today that a lot of money for tax cuts for the rich came from pensions that are underfunded since Reagan's time. And I want to just end with this thing by P.G. Wodehouse. I always strive when I can to spread sweetness and light. There have been several complaints about it. Thank you. That's it.
No.
Aww.
No.
So I'm not a poet.
That's it. Do not mute me right now. Chad, please, do not mute me. I have to say this. Out
okay,
loud.
wait 1 second.
No.
I'm unmuting you right now. I couldn't hear you before. We couldn't hear you in all the brouhaha, but now we can hear you. What are we gonna say?
Okay, Ms. Jan, I hope you can hear me. Praise to God, Ola. Lord God, hallelujah. Thank you, Ms. Jan. That was an eye opener for me. You do not understand. You do not understand. No. You do not understand because I live literally right on Quincy Street in the area where I'm literally literally 2 minutes away from Bowdoin Street. And I know
Wow.
what church you're talking about. A big Catholic church, right?
No, this
I
is
know
the Bowdoin
exactly what
Street downtown,
Huh?
not Dorchester, Bowdoin. This is Bowdoin Street downtown, Beacon Hill. St. John's Episcopal. But I know which one you mean in Dorchester off Quincy. I know that one. You're
You would
Robinson.
not understand. Like there'd be times like during holidays, there's so many people lined up in front of that Catholic church.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I feel sorry for y'all. Like I really do. I feel sorry for them because it's just like, what's the point? Like, what's the point of going over there? Because they're not gonna do anything for you. To be honest, I know because like there's another Catholic church that I went to, somewhere on Columbia Road, and where I live in Dorchester. And when I tell you, so many people go there to get help. But at the first time I went there, it's called Catholic Charities. The first time I went there, yes, a Caucasian woman helped me. She helped me, and I was able to get food and everything. But then when I went back, again, probably like a year or 2 years later, a white man was there. And he didn't do shit. Everything, I did everything that I needed to do. I needed help with paying my electricity as well as my, you know, my bills, all of my bills. He did all the paperwork. Nothing happened. Nothing happened.
Well,
And I'm still on welfare. I'm 31 years old and I'm still on welfare. Why? That's the thing I don't understand. I'm 31. I've been on welfare since I was like, what, 19? Yeah.
There's hardly enough.
Well, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing
I
that.
understand.
Thank you for
I
sharing.
understand the struggle for sure. I get it. I'm good now. I'm good now. I got money then. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing, Blackbird. I
wanted to say
appreciate that.
Thank you so much for that poem. Thank you.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you.
The last person on the open mic is the co-conspirator of getting Stone Soup its new home for over a year. The person who gave us our current home, or helped to give us our current home, was a central part of it. Martha Boss could not be here tonight. She's hoping to be part of next week's. She injured herself and has to recover, and she's fortunately staying with her daughter Jennifer. But hopefully Martha Boss will be back with us in one way or another. For the last feature, we're going to get the our final contributor, our penultimate closer these days, Mr. James Van Loy.
Hi. So I have a poem here because this is International Working Persons Day. And I was reminded of that because we called Italy's Day. And of course, they were actually really celebrating International Workers' Day. And so this poem is called May Day 2020, just like Jan. Jack, who was my Jack of Hearts, always wanted his central creation, Stone Soup, to have its birthday on May 1st, International Workers' Day. May Day of the Maypole dance like the Merry Mount Wild Ones down in Quincy, Mass., but most the holiday of Haymarket Martyrs, the strike for the 40-hour week, 8 hours of work, 8 hours of leisure, 8 hours of rest, the great demand of the late 19th century that had to wait until the next great crisis, when the movement finally broke open the ruling class consensus, just like we've had this thing called the Washington Consensus. 45 years of ruling class war, the Reagan era, finally come home to roost in Agent Orange head form like toxic herbicide, or as they said in Vietnam, only you can enforce. Seems all too real now. The Amazon blanches, cringes in Bolsonaro's gaze of neo-colonial war on indigenous. But Stone Soup was egalitarian vision, sustenance for all, from all, to all. This aspirational arrangement. Everyone puts in, everyone takes out. The way a small boy in Roxbury came home to find himself evicted and made the whole city a home. And a long litany of annual events, a whole new way of living time, yet somehow like international, May Day, the World Day, of maypole ribbons wreathing the high phallic poles so virgin, the acolytes coming forth, yet going on and on, generations creates silent boomer, XYZ millennial, and still the old soup bubbles, and Jack of hearts, always loved Mayday.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim.
No, that was good, honey.
It was great. Awesome.
Ah,
Yes.
Thanks,
that was
Jim.
amazing. Thank you.
Wow. Well, I think the best thing to do right now would be to unmute Carol Weston so she can talk to you. Carol, can you hear me?
Yes.
Do you have anything you'd like to say to the group?
What did you say?
Do you have anything you'd like to say to the group?
Oh, just to thank you all for me to be allowed in my hospital bed to share this remarkable experience. I imagine it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Carol. And I want to thank everyone here tonight for making this. We are in 2.5 hours. This is the record for us. And I think it's great to end now on a high note. The round robin would kill most of us if we were to do it again. But no, in all seriousness, this is a sweet ending, and I want to make sure this is all recorded. But I do want to thank all of you. We'll do more of this for the rest of the month. We will be meeting on our regular time on Wednesdays. This is apparently a bad time for Joanna Nealon because she's connected with her family via Zoom, and her family, a good chunk of her relatives, live in California. So Fridays is usually her family time. If I tell her to come back on Wednesday, I think she will. I do want to thank everyone who stayed here. Jim, this is, and it's amazing having you here. Blackbird, thank you, of course. James, Aaron, Adam, Jason, Eric, Tony and Dexter, Jan, Susie, Jim, Bill, who's apparently in parts unknown. Oh, there he is. Peter Story, Stephen, Eric, Shannon, April, Mary, and of course, Carol Weston. Thank you all very much for coming here tonight. And smile for the camera right now, for those of you who can. There we go. I'll be able to use that still shot for the for the end. But Shannon, you're professionally in the shadow, but I appreciate your efforts. This is that's great. I do want to make a GIF out of. I need to learn how to make GIFs, so when Blackbird's dancing in the background, I can use that for future event promotion. So again, I'll give you a chance to say goodbye to each other and sign off. And more Stone Soup goodness and relics from the past are going to be shared. So look at the Stone Soup Facebook page. Look at my website. My newsletter is Chad Parento's Lost Causes, which is every week, and I'll be announcing a lot of these relics on that. So if you want to be part of that, let me know. Send me a Facebook message. And at this point, I'll unmute you all so you can have your goodbyes. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank you, Chad.
Good.
Hey, bye.
You everybody.
Stone Soup. Happy birthday,
So
Stone
good to
Soup.
see you. Good to see you.
The show's over. We see you next time.